go.
There you go. Out here today with Mark Neal. I'm going to give you a couple hats for you and Dana. There's Dana in the video right there. We got a couple DTSB hats. There's Dana from Holiday Aviation. And Mark has been flying for a little while. What year did I meet you at this lobby? What year was that when you got your multi-engine with me? 2009. 2009. Out here today, Mark's flying a King Air, so he's come a little ways away, and you're trying now to not be on my list.
That's exactly right.
Exactly right. So, Mark Neal, the former owner of Matchbox and the DC3 rest, the hot dog stand up in Virginia and all that kind of stuff. I still eat hot dogs every time I'm in Virginia, up there at the hot dog place. And I even stop in at Matchbox every now and then for a meal.
All right.
Pretty cool. So,
go.
anyway, we're out here on the road today with Dana and Mark are flying together. Me and Dylan are getting ready to head down to home base here with this video. Go ahead, cheer the intro. How do you like that, huh?
Good to meet you.
All right. Dan Grider, Probable Cause. Glad to have you with us. Yes, it's Christmas Eve, 2023. I have to question what you're doing watching my YouTube channel when you should be out there with eggnog and mistletoe and taking care of Uncle Fester. But we know a little bit about Uncle Fester. Probably gives you good reason to be in here watching YouTube instead. You probably had enough of family. After a while, they can be kind of annoying. Remember, it's a holiday time of year, especially you folks in Arkansas. You do get to see everybody this time of year in Arkansas. You can divorce your wife, but at Christmas time, she's still your sister, so you still get to see her. So all that's good. Glad to have you with us tonight. You know, last night we did this broadcast. 1 week ago tonight, we had 2,800 people in the live chat room last week, which kind of set a record for us. Glad to have you with us here tonight. If you're in the live chat room, make sure you say Merry Christmas. Let me know where you're checking in from. I'll try to answer as many of those as I can. I think it's totally hilarious and a lot of fun. A lot of you are getting to be absolute regulars on there. I recognize you by name and where you're checking in from. Totally cool. Glad to have you. The whole purpose of this YouTube channel is to try to draw some attention to AQP, the common sense scenario-based training methods for being more prepared for the things that can happen to you in your airplane. That's really what this whole thing is all about. I'm using any method possible. Doesn't really matter what the method is. I'll use my banjo or a fishing pole or whatever it takes to get your attention, to try to get you to pay more attention to the methods of staying alive in your airplane. That's called AQP. It's preparing for the scenarios that are going to happen to you after you become a pilot. Yes, last week we had about 2,800 people in here. I'm going to cover a couple housekeeping items to let you know that we will get to the accidents. Since last Sunday night, we have had 2 more fatals to add to the list. So currently, for the year, we're sitting at 168. That's General Aviation Part 91 in the U.S. fatals, 168 of them, which sounds like a lot. Actually, that's an all-time record low. If you do the math, that's 14 per month. For 12 months is 168. My goal was 14 for the year. I don't know if we're going to go the next 7 days of 2023 before the year runs out, keeping it at 168 or not. I kind of doubt it, but time will tell. We'll see. I sure hope so. Speaking of next week, next Sunday night is New Year's Eve. We're going to do a very, very special live broadcast of Probable Cause from Nashville, Tennessee. You're all invited. It's going to be a party. Watch for this YouTube channel at the same time, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll have a very short video, but it'll also explain how to join the live, and we'll have some guests. I'm having a company produce this show for us, all on a volunteer basis. I got an excellent guy. I'm going to introduce him and his company and show his tech capability. He wants to help the AQP process. His name is Lee down in Florida, and he's going to coordinate that. We're going up to Rob and Crystal's place in Nashville. I've got a bunch of Nashville musicians gathered up. We're going to play music, talk about AQP. It's going to be an actual YouTube live. I think it'll kind of be professionally done. I hope because that means that I'm not doing it. All I got to do is play the banjo and have fun, and it's going to be New Year's Eve. If you've got nothing better to do, which for most of you, I can promise you, you've got nothing better to do. So come and join us New Year's Eve. Now, I need to talk to you about hats. I did offer hats for sale. I got totally cleaned out on hats. I do have some more on the way in, but we have a problem with hats. Actually, a couple of problems here. There are some imposters out there. One of them is on YouTube saying, contact me on Telegram. That's not me. Anything that has to do with Telegram on YouTube is always an imposter. This person is running around all kinds of YouTube channels saying, contact me on Telegram. It's a bot. It's a scam. Whoever it is, don't reply and don't get involved in that. There's another imposter trying to impersonate my YouTube address, my YouTube logo, and my YouTube internet email address, trying to get you to send him money. I found out who he is and I found out where he lives. I'm going to be addressing that in a rather swift way here very soon. Don't send money to anybody unless you absolutely know for sure. I'll put those things on the screen. Those are my methods of accepting money, but don't send money to anybody unless you absolutely know for sure exactly who you're talking to. This person has scammed a lot of people already out there, and I'll publish that person's name, address, and their picture once I get all that stuff done. So hats. Here's the problem with hats. If you simply sent me money via PayPal or something like that, it does not include any information on who you are or where to mail you a hat. Sometimes I get the record that money's been received, but I have no idea where to send a hat. You have to send me an email first. probablecausedangrider@gmail.com is the only address that I'm using. We have to establish correspondence and communicate. I have to know it's you and you have to know it's me before you do anything else, and then we'll do that. If you have sent me money for a hat and don't have it yet, please email me, because you're one of those people on my list that I know for sure I got money from, but I have no idea who you are or where you live or where to send a hat to. If you don't have a hat by now, please send me an email. Now, if you do have a hat for next Sunday night's live broadcast, New Year's Eve, I want you to take a picture of you with your hat, pointing to your hat. Send it to dylangrider14@gmail.com. I'm going to collect up a whole bunch of pictures I can. There's probably at least 10 or 12 of you out there that bought hats and have hats. If I can get 10 people to send Dylan a picture of you wearing your hat, I think that would be totally cool. dylangrider14@gmail.com. Send a picture of you wearing your hat, you with your dog or your dog's girlfriend or your dog's friend's girlfriend's butcher's dog's girlfriend wearing the hat would all be fine. Whatever you want to do. If you send it to me, we'll probably play it, and we're going to have a lot of fun on this one next Sunday night. And that's the thing on the hats. I appreciate your patience. I am definitely not a retailer. My friend Roger in Tulsa, Oklahoma, here's Roger's contact information. Roger's the guy that makes these hats. He's my hat manufacturer guy. He's got his new hat process system set up. If you'd like to buy some hats or order some embroidery for your company, please reach out to Roger at this number, totally separate from me. He's got a nice business and he does a great job. That's Roger in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Last week's video had to do with the Beechcraft crash out in Oklahoma City. That's the one that Dylan and I went to. We flew over, we looked at it. Since I got back, I got some extra pictures of the spot where this airplane was sitting. This is the couple that tried to do the return. This is a rotot fatal. They tried to turn left and make it back. We showed the flight path. We showed where he should have gone, and we showed where the airplane ended up. This is a horrific fiery crash where the husband died in the fire trying to pull his wife out of the fire. They ended up both dying. This airplane had an oil puddle on it, and I want to show you these pictures of where this airplane had been sitting. And after he fired up, this is the oil puddle underneath the airplane that I was able to get after last week's video to show you there's something really bad wrong with this engine, bad wrong with this whole story. No matter what happens to your engine, you have to remember, land this thing wings level, full flaps, straight ahead. That's going to be the theme for this accident that we're looking at Lake Lanier in Georgia. This just happened the other day. It's on the list, and we'll get to that in a second. That guy should have accepted gear up, full flaps into the water, and he would be alive today. We'll get to all that in just a second. The accidents for month of December here, we're currently sitting right here at number 168, and here's the list. I'll put it on here for you. We're going to get to all those in just a second. Before we do that, I got to go back and take a step back and review. There was one incident last week that I'm very proud of. This guy up in Ohio flying along in his 172, and he had an engine failure. ATC tried to tell him to turn left and head to the airport. Gave him, I think it was like 10 o'clock and 3 miles, there's an airport. He said, no, you'll find me in this field. I'm going to let you listen. The ATC tape is kind of hard to hear, but I want you to listen to ATC telling him to turn left and head to the airport. Here's ATC's tape.
Field insight, just let me know. Would you like us to dispatch emergency vehicles to your location?
I don't have it in sight.
Fall right of course. About 20 degrees to 30 degrees left, and it should be currently about 10 o'clock, 3 miles.
Just the side of the highway.
133 Golf Lima, roger, and we will dispatch emergency vehicles to your location.
Now here's some video footage of where the airplane ended up. This is a Cessna 172. It landed with not a scratch on it. Totally nice. 2 people on board. No injuries, no damage. The airplane's totally fine. I've reached out to the flight school and to the individual. I plan on making a trip to Ohio to shake this guy's hand. I want to buy him a dinner. I want to tell him thank you for not listening to ATC. He neglected to follow their instructions to turn left and head for the airport. He would not have made it. He landed power off in a field, and he did exactly the right thing. And that's what I want you to think about doing. Landing off field is not that big of a deal. In fact, that 172 up in Ohio, you never even heard about it because it never made the news, because it wasn't a big deal. Think about that. So we got Dylan out there flying around in his Cherokee. I'm going to put a map up on the screen here for all you time billers flying around southeast United States. Here is a round-robin circuit. You don't have to go to all these airports, but here's a round-robin circuit of some airports and the lowest 100 low-lead fuel price that we can find anywhere in the southeast. My home airport here at Hampton, Georgia. Great airport, 24-hour self-serve, 24-hour pilot's lounge. You can get in there at any time you want. Fuel at $4.58 a gallon at Hampton, Georgia, HAMP. I like it, and I like the attention that this manager is giving towards helping the time billers, the 100 low-lead people out here. They're trying to also track some jet traffic. The jet traffic can come in there now. They've got a power cart. They've got a crew car. They've got everything they need at Hampton, Georgia. A brand new FBO, nice runway, good approaches, and I want you to try out Hampton, Georgia. Now, I got another really unusual story. I'm going to backtrack and go back and talk about November 55162. These are the 2 African-American women flying along in October doing time building in their Cherokee 140. The news reported that they ran out of gas, and they originally contacted me because they said, not true, we did not run out of gas. We had plenty of gas. They topped off in Florida for a very short flight. This airplane holds 50 gallons of gas, but when they got up towards Hartsfield over a thick black forest at nighttime, it was like 10 o'clock at night, the engine quit, they were out of gas. Come to find out, the right wing fuel cap did not make it to the crash scene. I think the problem was that fuel cap, I found out after the fact, probably never got fully tightened on there and probably wiggled loose in flight, and it was dark at night. They never noticed it, probably siphoned out all the fuel. They should have had plenty of fuel in that right wing. It all got sucked out, and they ended up making a dead stick landing. Now, after this happened, they reached out to me. Here's the interesting thing. The FAA is now telling me that they're going to come after me for interfering with an investigation. Here's what really happened. They reached out to me and wanted to set the record straight. They did not run out of gas. They had plenty of gas. They did not scrimp on money. They put fuel in their airplane. Something else must have happened. I agreed to go interview them because both of them watched my videos and they knew not to stall that airplane. I went there. I don't know if you remember this story, but I interviewed them. They were both just out of ER, freshly back from the hospital, both of them on medication, but they agreed to be interviewed and talk about the main part of the story was that they knew From watching videos, they knew do not stall this airplane, and they didn't. They went full flaps, full stall into the tops of the trees, and they're alive today because of it. So I've just recently found out that the FAA is going to be coming after me for interfering with this investigation, even though I had nothing to do with the investigation. I did go to their residence after they got out of the hospital at their request. When I got there, they wanted help filling out the form, the accident form, and I agreed to help them. As a friend, I agreed, and my advice to them, number one, don't talk to NTSB or FAA until you are off medication and you have representation, and the FAA is definitely out to get you. I don't see that you did anything wrong, but for sure, the only time the FAA can do this record of telephone conversation is if they actually talk to you. Then they can make a record of telephone conversation and they can write down what they say that you said. It's not recorded. It's not a deposition. There's no official, but as soon as the FAA makes a record of conversation, that becomes bona fide legit. The best way to beat that is don't talk to the feds in any way. Don't talk to FAA, don't talk to NTSB, and I stand by that. You wait till you're off medication and you have representation. They wanted help filling out the form. I said, I think you should be truthful. Fill out the form. Both of you should fill out the form. The description that you put should be identical for both of you. However you want to word it, both of you turn in the same description. Be honest, be truthful, you didn't do anything wrong, and fill out the form. They had the form open on a computer when I got to the table and wanted some help on filling it out. I showed them what to do, and I said, my best guess is to fill this out. You are required to fill it out, put a description in there, and fill this out. Now, the feds are going to want to come after me for interfering because I went to their house to do an interview on a good story on how they're still alive and they did not stall their airplane. Still more to go on this story when it happens, and I'm pretty sure it will. I'm going to play the tapes because I have plenty of FAA tapes, recorded tapes that they don't know that I have, that is going to make them look really bad. If they want to go down this path, I think this is going to be a great story. I'm ready to go down this path. It's our federal government. It's the same thing with Trent Palmer and the U.S. government here. If you've seen the news recently, this whole Trent Palmer thing, the U.S. government, the FAA cannot figure out that MCAS is even on the 737. We have to lose 2 737s loaded full of people before the FAA even recognizes that there is a thing called the MCAS. That's where their attention and money should have been placed all along. Instead, they want to go after guys like Trent and me and others and these girls out here for flying the airplane. They want to make something out of nothing for doing all this stuff. This is feds. This case for Trent Palmer now is in the Federal District Court of Appeals. It's being appealed. It's because the FAA and NTSB have all the power. There's no checks and balances, and you as a citizen, you don't have any rights. The whole thing is completely crooked. The NTSB should not have the authority to do this. And now you're out of the NTSB's hands. You're up above the NTSB into federal district court. All right, well, it's a happy day. I mean, a really happy day with Yamalitha and Chloe. These girls were in this plane crash and you're alive. That's totally amazing. So some injuries, but some important takeaways off this. I'm going to let you tell them the story yourself. This is a really short video, but this is the thing that I've been kind of harping on for a long time here. Tell me about this engine quit at night. Tell me about not stalling the airplane.
All I can remember is not stalling, and I got the importance of not stalling from watching your videos.
Right.
We couldn't hold any altitude at all once the engine stopped. And we knew we're not going to make it to our destination that was like 12 miles ahead of us. We made a right turn, and we tried to head to the airport they said was nearest. We saw the beacon, but it was still far away. We knew we were not going to make it.
Right.
And so as we're going through that part, all I'm reminding her is don't stall.
So it is Christmas. I digress. Me and Dylan did take the DC-3 out this morning. We rolled out the DC-3. We went to do a ride-along video. This is number 11 out of 12. I'm doing 12 ride-along videos for the 12 days of Christmas. 12 ride-along videos in the very end of 2023. These are under my YouTube channel on a playlist called Ride Along Videos. We shot number 11. It'll come out in the next day or two. But we took the DC-3 out. I put Dylan in the left seat of the DC-3. We just made a couple laps around the pattern at Hampton, Georgia. And I want to show even though it's a DC-3 and he's still a student pilot in the DC-3, we still use the checklist. We still use AQP. We're ready for stuff. We brief it. We honor DMMS. We honor VREF. We do all those kind of things. The fact that we're in a DC-3 doesn't really make any difference. We're doing all the same thing. We're doing it the same way every single time. The DC-3 ride-along video, even if you're not totally into AQP and all that kind of stuff, it's an interesting video. I've already mixed it up and edited it, and it's all ready to go. Came out really nice. Shot multiple camera angles, multiple sources. You can see Dylan flying the Douglas DC-3 Christmas Eve morning here in Hampton, Georgia. It all came out really good. I hope you'll enjoy looking at that. I'm going to show you just a snippet of that right now.
All right, keep on going. Okay, departure briefing. Runway heading, straight ahead. You're flying the airplane unless I say the magic words, which is I got it. Yep. No speed restrictions, no turns. If we have a problem, we're going to feather it, go straight ahead, and think about where we're going. Okay. You got audio on? Audio's on. Okay, give me a clap. There you go. Okay, departure briefing complete. Flight attendant. Notified acknowledged. Cockpit doors and windows. Close and lock. Final lamps, exterior lights set. They're set. Fuel boost pumps are on. Transponder. It's on. Tail flaps. Trail. Tail wheel. It's locked. Okay. That's it for final items. All right, good. I'll take the checklist. Okay. You have the aircraft. I'm going to help you on this takeoff, okay, but you're flying the airplane, okay? Okay. DC-3 is probably runway 6 speedway. All right, feet on the bottom part of the pedals. Okay, bottom part of the pedals. We're just going to let it roll. Everything's good. It's starting to drift right. I'm going to give it a little bit of left pedal.
Traffic, Cessna 40 Quebec is on a wide right base, runway 6.
All right, start to push on the yoke a little bit. Both hands on the yoke. Now see the tail is already flying. Yep. Ball pressure is all good. Everything's good. I like it. Power set. V2. Rotate. Nice and easy. Come up. Nice and easy. See how it just kind of comes up? Yep. Hold it right there.
So we're down to the accidents here. I'm going to get this video up and on the air. I know a lot of you have got a whole bunch of eating left to go yet tonight because the night is still young. Still got presents to open for some of you that are getting anything besides coal in your stocking. And there's a few of you out there that I'm pretty sure coal is all you're going to get. Let's cut to the chase here. I'm going to show you a couple here. Here's the accident recap for the month of December on the screen here right now. I'm going to back up and review. The first one was November 7-6, Sierra Bravo. That's the beach up in Virginia, Simi Adams, that we went up and looked at. The next one is the no spin recovery, November 3-6-9, Bravo Bravo. They got it into a spin and couldn't get it out. The next one is 5891 Juliet. That's the Jenny Blaylock. That's the YouTuber. I still say my opinion is still going to be an autopilot induced stall spin. I think it got too slow. I think it spun, and coming out of the spin, it ended up in a dive is what I'm thinking here. I don't know of a way for that airplane to get purely vertical from just an autopilot release on this thing. I guess it's possible. Everybody's speculating. I get to speculate as well. I don't know what happened, but my guess is, from what I've seen before and what I've seen of her videos, I'm still guessing an autopilot, not an elevator trim spin, not an elevator trim stall, but an autopilot stall. She left the autopilot on too long, mistrimmed. When she finally did release it, it was too far nose up with not enough power. It stalled. That debonair wing is just like a lot of these other sleek wings. It'll drop a wing and around you go. Remember, any spin recovery, it's going to go round and round. If you can get it out, it's going to end up a dive. I'm going to show you a little bit of video of the coming out of a dive after a spin recovery. It's very steep nose down. I hope you've got enough real estate to recover after that. Okay, here's the next one. This is November 1880 Papa. This is the Alaska VMC into IMC. Kurt St. Jean, 52 years old. Don't have very much information on it. The next one in Arizona, this is the Kit Fox. This is a very interesting accident. Kenneth Saluga, 47 years old. It's a Kit Fox. Now, it's running these Ukrainian composite props. I've talked to a lot of these other people running these Kit Fox and people. It's a pretty reliable prop here. The interesting thing is that the prop blade was found a half a mile from the wreckage, along with the guy's iPad and some of his personal belongings. After takeoff, this prop left. Now, when I first heard about this and said it broke a prop, I was thinking that the tip severed or it splintered or delaminated or something like that. Not true. This prop is in such good condition that it looks like you could put it back on the airplane right now. It came out of the hub is what it did. This left a high RPM engine shaking with one blade. It's a two-blade prop, one blade still in and the other out of the airplane. I think it shook that airplane so violently that the aircraft was actually not controllable just due to the extreme vibration. Very unusual. I'm not seeing a problem on the composites for the manufacturer. I am suspecting maintenance, the way that the blade was installed in the hub. I don't have all the technical aspects on how to install a blade in a hub and make sure it's tight and safety and can't come out of the hub. This one definitely came out of the hub in flight, actually at high RPM on takeoff is what happened. It caused the kit fox to not be controllable. That's my best guess on that, but I don't see that this is a composite problem with the actual blade itself. All right, the next one on the list, we've already talked about. This is Barrett Ellis in Oklahoma City. This is the Beechcraft that we already went out there and looked at. We've already talked about it extensively. And then the A36 in Arizona was a fire. Somehow it ended up on fire. Kevin Steffi, age 64, definitely died of fire injuries. I don't know how. And then the PC-12 in Texas, November 188, Papa Charlie. They were on an approach. Greg Siemens, we played the tape last week, 65 years old. I don't know how they ended up here, but his last words were, "We have a problem," and I'm not sure what really that means. Then the RV-8 in California on takeoff. David Lunn, age 77, only one on board. Definitely a lot of maintenance problems with this, a lot of sketchy stuff. Here's some video footage of the scene immediately after this when bystanders first got to this thing. They sent me some cell phone video footage immediately after this thing happened.
Plane down at Warwick Airport.
The next one is the 172 out in Oregon. This is the guy that, with 3 people on board that tried to make a takeoff. It was VFR trying to get over to another airport. Problem out there is the number of days and nights where the weather changes and fog rolls in. When he got to this airport, it was foggy. He shot some kind of a ridiculous approach to try to line up on this thing. The problem was there was power lines just short of the airport. He ended up a little bit to the left and a little bit low. He hit the power lines, knocked the power out, and big fire. Everybody on board this airplane died in the fire that night, and that was the 16th of December, 4:53 p.m. The next one, 606 Hotel Delta. This is the helicopter up in New Jersey, and I want to reiterate here, night VFR is IFR. For the most part, if you're night over the water or over a black forest, night VFR is IFR. This guy was in cruise at 500 feet. He simply flew it into the tops of the trees. This helicopter, from what I can tell, has no radar altimeter and no autopilot. They're coming back from a photo shoot. The amazing thing is that this helicopter crashed at 8 p.m. The first alert from the news station did not come in until 11 p.m. that there was even a helicopter missing. Nobody called it in. Nobody said anything. This helicopter laid out there for 3 hours before anybody even recognized that it was down. This helicopter was likely in cruise at 400 or 500 AGL. It's black out there. If you're not an instrument pilot, you can let the nose come down at that speed. This debris path was long and high speed. He flew it into the tops of those trees. Once the first skid hit the first tops of those trees, it pulls it down into it. This is a long debris path. It was not a stall spin. It was not an engine failure. Here's your recommendation. You news chopper agencies out there flying these things, 1,000 AGL at night is your minimum for cruise, and your helicopter pilots have to have recurrent night IFR training. You got to put them under the hood, make sure that they can hold wings level under the hood for at least 10 minutes, hold a heading and hold an altitude under the hood is what it would take. You chopper people out there flying these news and day VFR things have no use for instrument stuff. You don't do any instrument training. You do no hood or foggle training whatsoever. And then you get stuck out here at night over the Black Forest. There is no horizon, and you drive it straight in the forest, and then it'll take the NTSB 3 years. They're going to collect this wreckage and take it to a hangar and try to put it back together again. I can tell you what happened to this airplane. The guy flew it into the trees. He didn't know what he was doing. He could not fly visually at night when there was no horizon. He flew it into the tops of the trees, and I'm sorry, but that's all that happened. The very last one we're going to talk about is the one that just happened, Lake Lanier, Atlanta, Georgia. They called me. I did not know the guy. He was based at PDK Airport, just north of Atlanta. 23 Victor Sierra, a guy named Howard Joe, very wealthy investment banker kind of a guy. He had lots of toys, nice house, nice Porsche, nice car, nice everything. He had everything immaculate. This Bonanza, this G36 was his baby. It had a new engine on it. He had been doing a lot of local flying, just putting a lap on the airplane. He got this thing out here, and he had an engine failure over Lake Lanier. I cannot find any records or anybody that knew him that ever remembers Howard ever getting any recurrent training of any kind. Yes, he's a pilot. He probably was legal. When this situation happened, he tried to put his airplane into a 700-foot piece, postage stamp piece of ground, and it did not work. Now, I've got the tape of this thing. I'm going to show you where this happened. Here's me and Dylan flying over the wreck scene the next morning. We were out there the next morning after flying over. I'm going to show you this thing, and then I'm going to show you some footage from on the ground. You people out here that speak Spanish, I've already had this interpreted, but here's some Spanish people who were working near the site that came running up to the wreck site immediately after it happened. One of them is clearly saying it came from here. He's pointing where this airplane came from, and the engine quit. It quit. He keeps on talking about the engine quit. Here's that footage.
Norman! Norman! Se mató. 911. Call 911. Hey, Moreno! Michael! Moreno! Acá está abajo. Está ahí abajo. Oye, oye. Hey, cuidado. Move your truck. Oye, se estrelló ese avión. Se estrelló ese avión. Dale, grabalo. Lo estoy grabando. ¡Uy! ¡Uy! ¡Los extinguidores! Toma, mira, Michael. Toma. Tome, ya está. Se mató. ¡Uy, se mató! Mire, cuidado, Juan. Uy. ¿El muchacho qué? ¿El muchacho qué? Norman. No hagas broma, explota eso, te va a matar algo, porque más ya no puede hacer nada. Uy, shit. Yo pensé que era nosotros venimos que venía bajando. Michael, no fregué, Michael.
Aquí, miren, aquí
¿Dónde pegó? Sí.
Échenle a esto, ve, está cerca de la traila.
Esto no jala.
Grabalo.
Acá lo tengo.
Verga, ey.
Acá lo tengo.
Me mato el vato.
Uy.
Oh, shit.
Loco, si solo vimos que él hizo así. Piu, para ahí.
Ey, échenle esto si tienen.
Dirección para ahí. No jala eso. No da. Acá están las piezas y todo esto.
El gas es más inflamable que esto. ¿Pero el muchacho saltó o qué?
No lo vimos.
Aquí lo vimos cuando iba bajando así.
Iba bajando así, mira.
¿Saltó el muchacho
Y,
o qué?
no saltó. Se mató, por eso te digo. Por eso te digo.
¿Ya llamaron?
Sí, ya llamaron.
If you speak Spanish and want to do a little bit of interpreting on that, this is a bad way to go. And I want to tell you that of the accidents in the month of December, 11 out of 12 have involved burning alive in your airplane. Now, that's not a good way to go, and I know it's Christmas Eve. I should not be talking about stuff like that, especially at the time of loss for this many families. I want you to think about how deadly aviation is. You cannot afford to be burnt alive in your airplane. It's a horrible way to go. It's horrible for your family. A little bit of prevention, a little bit of thinking. Here's what Howard Joe should have done. He should have elected full flaps, gear up, a water landing into Lake Lanier. The water's very shallow. He would have got his airplane back. His insurance would have covered it. He could have got a nice new airplane. He could have opened the door and dog paddled to shore. No problem. Instead, he elected to try to put this thing in to save the airplane. Do not try to save your airplane. Do not try to get back to the airport. You put this thing gear up, full flaps into the nearest flat space. If you're landing on ground, you can put this thing in a flat farmer's field. It'll come to a stop really nice. You can land any airplane in water, no problem. I recommend some YMCA swimming lessons. Open the door, swim away. I hope you got something for flotation to hold on to for a few minutes. If the water's cold, so be it. You can survive a long time in chilly water. Swim towards shore and try to put your airplane as close to the shoreline as you possibly can. We see survival stories all the time where a pilot put his airplane in the water and he's totally fine. That's it. I'm very, very sorry for these very unfortunate 11 out of 12 involved fire. Fire is not a good thing to happen to you. It's a horrible, horrible way to go. I want you to think about this. 14.0 is the goal for this year. I don't know if we're going to make it. For 2024, 13.0 is the goal. I am pushing hard to get AQP out there. I want you people to pay attention, listen. I'm not selling you AQP. I don't have anything for you to buy. I want you to stay alive in your little airplane out there. Have a Merry Christmas. I hope you take the day off tomorrow. If you need a doctor's note, send me a note. I'll give you a doctor's excuse. I am a doctor, same as NTSB as pilots, but I am a doctor. Send me a note. I'll give you a doctor's excuse to take the day off tomorrow if you need one. For my tiny little itty-bitty fledgling YouTube channel, Dan Grider. Probable cause. Jump here.
I'm being a narrator.
No, you gotta get in here. This is historic. Let's put Mark in the middle.
God's sakes.
All right, get in. Nice and tight.
Oh, I didn't know you could frame yourself on this thing.
Well, it's just kind of an abbreviated.
Come on, we'll act like we've been doing this for 100 years. Come on.
There you go. Now you have to. I'm going to use your face to start this video, so you have to take your finger and go like this. Know how to go? Dun, dun, dun. I'll put the music with it later, but just go like this. Go. Dun, dun, dun.
Okay.
Go ahead. Now you got to be more. You got to be more animated, and it's got to be a little quicker. You got to go ba ba ba, because that's the song.